Right, okay. So, we can't fight over it.
I'm just waiting for that golden phone.
Fine. We wait?
It's good.
Yeah. It looks all right. We will talk to them in the course of this week. But the really important thing is not whether we sit with the AFD or not. The really important thing is that in the biggest country in Europe, at last there is a Eurosceptic, a good, respectable, decent Eurosceptic party that's made a breakthrough. So I'm very, very pleased.
What would you say are the parallels and what are the differences?
I think in terms of the birth of the party, it's quite similar. UKIP was a very academic party in the early days, founded by an academic, run by academics in the early days, and that's obviously very similar with the AFD. I went and spoke at a meeting in Cologne, organised by their youth wing, and I stayed afterwards and mingled and met people, and they seemed remarkably like UKIP people.
In the early days? Or like now?
Well, no, actually, no. I mean, that was the leadership. But in terms of their supporter base, I thought it could easily be a UKIP meeting.
Because you were stressing that you also took a lot of votes from Labour. So
yes.
Would you say that you are also very much of a working class party now?
Well, I think that parties evolve and change and move on, and I think our basic messages about wanting to make our own laws and crucially control our own borders. I think the whole open door immigration influx from the former communist countries has affected working class people more adversely that it's affected those higher up the chain. So I think that the growth in Labour support isn't something that's happened through us changing our manifesto. I just think it's a very big segment of the population who felt quite badly affected by this.
I read polls that most UKIP supporters actually care more about immigration than about Europe. So is this really
I think it's the same thing. I mean, the immigration figures out last week show that now the huge yearly increases in net migration to Britain are coming from Europe, and they're coming from Southern Europe and Eastern Europe. And I suspect, given the disaster zone that the euro has created, from Greece right across to Portugal, that actually it's likely that rate of migratory flow to Britain will increase over the next 2 or 3 years and not decrease. And our argument is, we're not an anti-immigration party at all, but we do think we should have control over both the quantity and the quality of those people that come. And we now find ourselves turning our backs on engineers from India and doctors from New Zealand. We say no, we don't want skilled people from the rest of the world because we have to keep an open door to Southern Europe, or we're terrified of letting other people in. So it's really skewed. What would normally have been our immigration policy. What I've been given as angel result.
Okay, well, come to the second. Which one? Very close to the second. Do you want to open the 2 shots? Or you speak better? You're just getting East Midlands.
Yeah.
Which I think you're ahead.
I haven't seen expectations first. The last time, 5 years ago, exactly, I kept us waiting for half an hour, do you remember?
You're 368,000, score is 291. What's the scale of the earthquake, Nigel?
I'm not sure yet. I think you know, I promise. Big change in the Eastleigh figures, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Reverse. Reverse.
Yeah, did you
Lib Dems came third there.
I did, yeah. Well, it's strange to think that people voted differently from voting when voted. The East Midlands at the expense of the Liberal Democrat, Margot Parker. You predict that, or are you hoping for better?
Well, we got from 1 to 2. It's not bad on the list. No, I mean, look, the scores coming in across the country are certainly good indeed. Looks like we're top of the poll. I think it is the earthquake that I'm looking for.
I was going to ask you, you've been talking about foxes, chickens, it's the earthquake, isn't it?
Well, it's been the earthquake for 3 years, but I couldn't resist. So what happens is, when Mr Cameron promised a referendum in many years' time, after a renegotiation, and if he wins the next election, everybody says the UKIP pops have been shot, so I couldn't resist resurrection.
Now, the South Coast tsunami perhaps, because you at the moment here, the last time round, it was 4 Conservatives, 2 UKIP, 2 Lib Dems, 1 Green and 1 Labour. Your colleagues here tell me they believe you're going to have 4 MEPs. Tories think they might have 4 as well. What are you predicting here in the southeast, apart from your own re-election, of course?
Yeah, well, being top of the list makes it very comfortable under the PR system. I think we are going to get 4. And we clearly have dug deep into the votes of all the other parties. I suspect when we look at this tomorrow, the real conclusion will be that actually we hit the Labour Party of England in a way that nobody thinks possible. And I think for too long, the argument has been UKIP picked up the Conservative vote. People ignored the fact that actually Labour voted, Lib Dem and non-votes, Conservative voted minority.
Now I'm told